We're going to stick with agencies charged with holding people to account, but increasingly having insufficient resources to do so. In this next case, it's the SPCA. Yes, they care for animals, and yes, you can go there if you want a new cat, but they're also the organisation that prosecutes more animal welfare cases than anyone else, more than the MPI, more than police, more than anyone. And when they run out of money, cruelty to animals goes unprosecuted and continues. We come to this discussion off the back of the SPCA's prosecution of animal hoarder Ann Power. There have been numerous complaints against Ms Power. The SPCA has devoted significant resources to prosecuting her. Indeed, they seized more animals from her yesterday. Now, the Auckland District Court has found Ms Power ill-treated a horse that died a slow and painful death, but Ms Power appealed. After a 2-year wrangle, the court ordered the SPCA forfeit some of her animals, but she was allowed to keep 83 animals and birds on compassionate grounds. SPCA Auckland CEO Andrea Midgen told me about their most recent trip to Ann Power's Whangarei property.
Just yesterday, we took 38 dogs, and we've taken other animals over the years. So we've taken horses, we've taken dogs, we've collected dead sheep, a duck, and I think that's it for now.
If you had your way, in the best possible world as the SPCA sees it, would Ann Power own animals, be able to keep animals?
No, she does. She has a love for animals that is very clear, but she does not live in the real world in terms of being able to take care of animals. An example would be that the dogs we uplifted yesterday, a lot of them have cancer. One was just disgusting, a big growth with a length of string tied around the growth, and that was the only care that dog had received, and it was in a lot of pain.
Okay, so what you are kindly saying is that there is a marked discrepancy between her belief in her ability to care for the animals and her actual care for the animals.
Absolutely correct.
And yet, if I look at a list that I have in front of me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Andrea, she has been allowed to keep 4 horses, 11 cattle, 18 sheep, 4 llamas, 4 dogs, 40 birds, and 4 cats on compassionate grounds. Is that the case?
That's correct. That's what the district court judge sentenced last week.
Should that have happened?
I think from the judge's perspective, he was trying to be fair and not take away her whole world. From our perspective, we have seen her whether consciously or unconsciously mistreat animals over the years, and it's ongoing. So the question that needs to be asked is, can she even cope with that many?
When you go and get animals from Ann Power, what sort of nick are they in?
It varies. So the last time we seized a chunk of cattle and we sold them, mainly because there wasn't enough pasture to feed all the horses, llamas, cattle, sheep that were on the property. Right now, to be honest with you, she has sufficient feed for those animals right now, which is why yesterday we went and got the dogs as the number one animal welfare concern.
Where are those dogs now?
We've got those dogs in temporary accommodation and we're assessing them, so we have to go through full health vet checks and also temperament checks. But you can imagine there's 40-odd dogs. They've been confined basically 23 out of 24 hours in fairly small cages. They're very stressed, very upset. Moving them is not that helpful, but it's the only way we can manage this number and bring them down to Auckland and deal with them.
Is there a possibility you'll have to put some of those dogs down?
That's a real possibility, yes.
Okay. A law lecturer at Otago University said last week to RNZ News, and I think this is a fascinating point. He talked about the SPCA having to bring these prosecutions, and then in some cases having to spend your own money to fight appeals. This is an example. Ann Powers is an example. And he says it's quite remarkable that the government has delegated that responsibility to a non-profit organisation that relies largely on charity. In other words, are there simply some cases that you can't afford to pursue as much or as rigorously as you would like?
Absolutely, we have to prioritise, and so we go for the ones which have caused the most harm and then work our way down until we've run out of resources. So we're very, very fortunate in Auckland that we get amazing pro bono lawyer services, so that allows us to do a lot more than some of the other SPCAs around the country. But even with that, you can imagine the amount of time it takes to go through such prosecutions. So every time we're doing one, inspectors are off the road because they're in the courts and preparing files and things like that. So it's always a balancing act as a charity. That's our life.
Andrew, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is it fair to say that there are cases you would like to prosecute that you don't have the time, resources or money to do so?
Yeah, and to be honest, there's probably ones out there that we haven't even seen yet, but we know are out there, that we just don't have the resources to be more proactive and go looking. So often it's around, the public are fantastic in terms of providing information which triggers off our investigations often, and thank goodness for that, because we don't have enough on the road to be proactively checking on different sites.
What would you like to see happen?
I would love to see more funding from MPI. I would love to see a faster judicial system somehow, because what happens is that these animals are held by us in a shelter through that whole process, which can take months, if not years. And this latest one of Anne's Powers has been in 2 years, and animals in a shelter is not a great outcome. They need to be in there, in a home, not in a shelter. It's kind of like being in a prison, really. I mean, as good as we can make it prison, but that's what it is.
Because if we come back to the point of the law lecturer at Otago University, you are effectively doing the government's work. You are effectively the prosecuting agency here. So you would like more money from the Ministry for Primary Industries to help you with that.